Next up, some people believe that with remote work, it could lead to a new pandemic. Burnout. Joining me today to break down why burnout happens, how to recover from it, and prevent it from happening in the first place are Hamza Khan, the author of Leadership Reinvented, How to Be an Effective Leader in Our New Normal, and the burnout coach, Dr. Kimberly Wilson. What's up?
Hello, hello.
How y'all doing?
Fantastic. Thank
Doing
you so
fantastic. Good to see you both. Now, what makes people burn out? I'll take it to you first, Hamza. What causes burnout?
Absolutely. Mostly factors largely outside of their control. We're talking about competition, alienation, society, technology, loneliness, and the economy. These meta factors, these factors from without that we then internalize as performance pressure. And we internalize this performance pressure as not feeling perfect enough, not feeling efficient enough, not feeling progressive enough, satisfied enough, and innovative enough. And when that performance pressure compounds upon itself, we enter into the 12 stages of burnout, which is a slippery slope, to say the least.
What about you, Dr. Kimberly? What makes people burn out from your experience? I understand you work with people in the corporate world and entrepreneurs. What makes people burn out in the first place, from your perspective?
Yes, I will add with that my focus is particularly with women, and we look at patriarchy, gender norms, societal pressure, the focus that women need to be caregivers and to support everyone else first, and they tend to put their needs last.
And Kimberly, burnout has been happening forever, but people only really started talking about it in recent years. Why is that? Why is it coming to the forefront now?
I think there's been a very unique clash to come up with this pandemic because there's more pressure on women, more pressure on businesses to perform, and we're being asked to do more with less resources. One of the things in particular that women have experienced that I've heard from them is the pressure to now be teachers, lovers, performers at work, friends, to care for family members who have lost their jobs, to be caregivers during COVID. And it's been a very unique situation.
Hamza, if you get burned out, how can you recover without going off the deep end and creating your whole life? Just from the perspective of, let's talk from the perspective of your book, some of the stuff that you talk about in there. How can you do that? How can you recover without, going too far where you get to the place where you may not be all right again?
Absolutely. The very first thing that anybody needs to do when they're burning out is reclaim their time and diminish the immediate sources of stress in their life. I'm talking about looking at your calendar, looking at the 168 hours you have available to you each week, and recognizing that you're trying to do more with less, to Dr. Kimberly's point. So what are the things that you can take away? What are the priorities that you can delete, diminish, defer, or delegate so that you can rescue your time? And by extension, then increase your energy and reclaim your attention. Those are the three main resources you need to be focusing on. So step number one is always diminish the immediate sources of stress, reclaim your time, reclaim your energy, reclaim your attention.
Now, and these are tools these tools for universally applicable for students, entrepreneurs, or employees? Is this something that apply to everyone? Are there certain tactics that you can utilize if you're let's say you're a student, or if you work for a business that's been under pressure and they might be piling more work onto you than you normally would because of the environment that we're in? How do you reclaim? How do you actually do that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And sorry, go ahead, Dr. Kimberly, after you.
Well, yes, I was just going to say one of the important ways to do that is to begin to look at your mindset, how you actually look at situations and the importance that you place on your role. Because I think we tend to forget that if we drop dead, our work goes on. They're not going to be distressed and fall apart because you're not there as an asset. So really doing a values and energy exercise. Are you placing what you find important? Is that where you're placing your energy? And to Hamza's point, to really reclaim your time.
Hamza?
And I'll just quickly add to that. It's coming back to this word that we seldom define, which is enough. What does enough look like for you? What does it look like in your portfolio of work? And more importantly, has leadership in your organization defined what enough is? Because you can apply all these Band-Aid solutions. You can give people Fridays off. You can give them off one day a week, one day a month, but the workload isn't changing. There's an expectation to do more with less, and it's not addressing the underlying problem.
Hamza, talk to me a little bit about your book. What made you write your book, and what what experiences brought you to the point where you felt like, okay, I need to push this out?
Totally. So the first book, The Burnout Gamble, that I wrote was written in service of trying to understand what happened to me in the year 2014 when I experienced a really almost near fatal brush with occupational burnout.
Wow, talk to us.
Absolutely. In 2014, I mean, that was a year that I was firing on all cylinders, burning the candle on both ends, pushing myself to the brink of exhaustion, working for 11 months straight, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And at the end of the year, completely flamed out. I mean, I traveled through all 12 stages of burnout. And in trying to understand what happened to me, I began to do some very casual research. I talked to doctors, specialists. I did, I read through all of the literature that was available to me at the time, and I discovered that we were sitting on a really big problem, a big problem that Dr. Kimberly and I and many other experts and thought leaders are trying as much as possible to raise awareness of. It's so bad that the World Health Organization has called stress, which is the underlying problem of burnout, the health epidemic of the 21st century.
Wow. How did you overcome that when you had that near fatal? Was there something in particular that just made you break, or was it just a gradual process? You go, oh my God, I'm getting more and more fatigued. I'm not feeling good. My mood is bad. Or was it just one day like, okay, snap? How does it happen? And I'm asking this question because others out there watching may just feel they're working hard. I'm just tired. Maybe I'm not eating right, but it may be that underlying factor that someone is not recognizing. How did it happen for you, and how do you recognize it?
It was gradual and then sudden. And I tell people all the time that by the time you're self-aware that you're going through burnout, you are further along the burnout cycle than you think you are. And Dr. Herbert Freudenberger and Dr. Gail North, who coined the term burnout in the 70s, which wasn't that long ago, they've outlined a linear progression, 12 stages that people pass through, beginning with the compulsion to prove oneself. Now, here's the problem. Many workers, many professionals, many people misdiagnose what they're going through. They think it's just normal stress, that they're overwhelmed because of work, because of school, because of deadlines, this and that. But there's some very clear markers across those 12 stages that indicate that you're not actually experiencing usual stress. And, I would encourage people to just go ahead and Google that, or head over to theburnoutgamble.com, and you can see a concise list of 12 stages.
Dr. Kimberly, the 12 stages there, when is it important to step in? When is it too late with these stages of recognizing that you have burnout? Should you step in immediately before you even see any symptoms? Should you start looking at your workload right now and say, hey, wait a minute, am I going down the path where stress could potentially fester and then ultimately manifest in that sudden break? How do we do that? How do we tackle that? How do we recognize it, and what can we do?
Well, I think the first place when you're recognizing it is when you get to the point where you're, I forget the exact title of the stage, but you've forgone most activities to focus on your work and become this person that people don't recognize. That should begin to be a wake-up call. I have a very good friend, a 40-year relationship, and she didn't discover burnout until she had an aneurysm and multiple strokes. And now everyone is scrambling together to try and figure out how to help her
So
put her
this is
life back
something,
together.
so burnout is real. It's not just, oh, I'm stressed and mildly depressed. This is something that can actually harm you physically and lead to real physical diseases that could potentially kill you.
Correct. And that's actually how, similar to Hamza, I discovered my burnout more so when my body started reacting. And I was pre-diabetic and pre-high cholesterol. And that's when I had to reassess what I was doing and begin to make some key strategic changes in my life and essentially reclaim my time and redefine what was important to me and where I wanted to put my time and energy.
Thank you both so much. It's such an important conversation. We need to bring more awareness to this now, perhaps more than ever, because it's so important that we can get ahead of this. Because it's the era of the hustler. It's the time where everyone is trying to figure out how to not be in the position that last year, the whole environment that we're in right now. When that hit, everybody's scrambling, trying to make sure none of that happens again. Really quickly, Hamza, where can we find you? You said Burnout Gamble. Can you hit us with it again?
You can learn about my first book, The Burnout Gamble, on theburnoutgamble.com, and you can learn more about me and my other projects at hamzakhan.ca. That's HAMZAKHAN.ca.
And Kimberly, where can we read more about your stuff?
At drkimberlywilson.com.
All right, amazing. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.